Okay, so this one comes from, I think it comes from, from our social media. Okay. So, dear Danielle and Danielle, I'm writing because your post about unresolved grief and conflict in the workplace hit me in a way I didn't expect. I've been trying to figure out if I'm overreacting or if something deeper is at play. I lead a small team within a nonprofit that serves marginalized communities. We recently lost one of our long term staff members, someone I considered a friend. Downsizing was the company line, but folks have been whispering. Her absence shook us all. The organization acknowledged it with a brief email, but the work never slowed down. Within a week, leadership pushed new deadlines, and I was expected to model resilience. The thing is, I wasn't okay. I missed her deeply, not just personally, but it says, but the loss was felt deeply, not just personally, but collectively. She was the glue for many of us. When I suggested we hold space for the team to process or even pause briefly, I was told we don't want to make things heavier. And that stung. It felt like her loss was just something to manage quietly and not honor together. Since then, I've noticed tension in my team, more mistakes, short tempers, people withdrawing. I see this showing up everywhere, but it's unspoken. And I'm caught between a compassionate leader and meeting the expectations that feel tone deaf. I'm frustrated and confused. I believe in this work, but I'm starting to question whether this culture is sustainable or if I'm expecting too much humanity from a system that doesn't know how to hold it. Am
Mm.
I wrong for wanting space to grieve at work? Am I wrong for being angry that my leadership doesn't see that as valid? Sign, still
Mm.
showing up, parentheses, but tired, y'all. Still showing up, but tired.
No,
So,
you are not wrong.
come on. Look, if that gonna be the vibes, listen.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I often hear this conversation around what should be even allowed at work,
Mhm.
and especially from I'm going to say our age and older, but like them fringe baby boomers and up kind of had that conditioning of I don't go to work to make friends. I go to work, and whatever my personal stuff is needs to be personal, and whatever my work stuff is needs to be work. And I find generationally that younger folks don't adopt that at all. They like, look, I spend the majority of my time at work. I
Mhm.
need for work to be also at least
Yeah.
balanced in some way. Like I need to be able to be my full self when I show up here. So that's the first thing that came to my mind in terms of, finding an organization that has the foresight and the pioneering type of wellness culture to understand that my staff is my greatest asset and that if they ain't okay, we ain't okay. Like, is
Mhm.
that's what I would start with that. So just for her to be brave enough to acknowledge that is a problem, you can't be wrong with that. I mean, and I grew up in that way too. Like I know there's some boundaries around how much my personal life matters to the people at work, but also the more that I grow and develop emotionally, the more I understand that how I'm doing is going to determine the culture of the organization, which is going to determine how effectively we meet our mission, how effectively we achieve the goals that we set out. Because, I mean, the leadership is who's determining the innovation. I mean, we have in our saying, have a positive image, IMAJ, innovation, motivation, authenticity, and joy. Well, I cannot bring all of that to my organization if it's a culture in which I'm told to show up halfway.
Mhm. Or if stuff is happening right in front of me and the company line is to call it something it doesn't look like. right? And so let's just keep smiling and keep, doing what we do. Using phrases like "we're a family here." And here's the thing, as a person who does clinical work with families, we're a family here isn't like the pool you think it is. If we really are a family here, then we're gonna have conflict, we're gonna disagree, we're gonna have issues, we might be dysfunctional. So like, don't think you making that attractive. You really making it scary. But when you were talking about the different generations, you know what came up for me? When you were
Mhm.
saying like certain generations kept work at work and home at home, again, because I'm thinking about you and I really have been moved and motivated by the historical impact of where we landed today, right? So as a culture, no one at work cared about what was happening at home for many years. At the very beginning of us, being in some industries, we weren't fully valued as human beings. And so that model, that model was a sense of safety, right? Like that model meant that that was a way for that generation to keep their head above water. Like there was no real way to be completely transparent. And so
Mhm.
this new generation doesn't even have some of the same curiosities or obvious issues that we have entertained. Like I heard a story recently, and I can't remember the star. And if again, I'll be watching these videos and I don't know how old they be, but she was talking about how her mom was going to interview as a lawyer at a law firm. She was first generation African. I don't know what country exactly. And so she was coming in to interview, and the receptionist at the desk saw her come in and sent her to interview with housekeeping. She didn't
Mm.
ask who she was, she just sent her down the place. And so, whatever the confusion was, the confusion. And finally, when she returned back, they were apologizing for the confusion, and she witnessed her mother not even being exposed to racism because she was raised in a fully black community. It didn't even occur
Mhm.
to her mom in the moment that that was the reason the person had sent her the other direction. And so I think about that when I think about how it took a while for my own kids to realize some of the things that I used to say. They'd be looking at me like, because the world we raised them in, they were like, yeah, things are fine. But child, now that they've been out there a little bit, why they be coming home talking about, yeah. I said, oh, we agree with mama now. But yeah, so this one is, I mean, she could have been messy, but she was real real nuanced in how she presented this. But how often does a person of influence leave an organization and we know that they've got, like, they know how the biscuits are made, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
no one's really talking about why they left. So that's a whole other story. Because I'm sure whoever she is, she has some tea from the situation. But how are we not talking about it? And um, so I was gonna say, is she wrong? Because I think the question was maybe, well, the specific question for is she wrong? No, but her question was also, is she expecting too much humanity from a
Mm.
system that doesn't know how to hold it?
Well,
Sis, listen, is she expecting too much from the system, Danielle?
she might be expecting too much from the sister. Yeah. And that is an adjustment that each of us has to make too, because you go into it thinking, these are nice people, these are good people.
Mhm,
But the system, even though it's made up of the people, the system is its own machine and it works very well.
mhm,
And it does not like disruptions to the system. And so when you come along trying to bring humanity into the system, wait a minute.
yeah, I mean, I think this one is a little more complex. It's not so like, I mean, she's not wrong for having her feeling. Um, And then, is she wrong for wanting to grieve at work? I don't think that that is a question she can ask. Like, grief doesn't ask permission. She will grieve,
Yeah.
at work. But the space for it, that's something that, you and I talk about, is how people can find space when they are grieving and they're at work. I think is how I would reframe that. Not necessarily, well, we would love for organizations to be healthy enough to make space, but how do you find space on your own when you're grieving at work?
Yeah. And even to play devil's advocate, I would say I understand from being in a leadership role when you have all of these competing initiatives, all of these competing demands. It's not like it's an easy decision necessarily for the people at the top either, because they know like we are trying to do more with less and now trying to create space or maybe even finding a budget to be able to add this to our EAP or whatever. Like I understand those decisions are not easy, so I don't want to for the writer, I don't want her to also think about it only in a us and them way, but understand that every hard choice is a hard choice for everybody, typically for everybody involved, in that folks come with their lens. They're looking at it from their perspective. So, one of the wins to me is that you have an organization that, at the very least, creates space for us to bridge, so that at least we can share each other's opinions around things and knowing that sometimes you're not going to get your way. But what I find folks get more stuck on is that there's no vehicle for me to even express my side of it. It's just like a top down, this is what our culture is. If you don't fit in our culture, this may be not the right place for you type of attitude, as opposed
Mhm.
to recognizing that the organizations in the industries that lead are the ones that have a diverse perspective, because they can draw in all of these other different things because they have people and perspectives that tap into a broader audience. So
Mhm.
just something else to
Oof, layers on layers.
layers on layers.
So, I mean, I think that there are two areas at play that need support, right? So HR departments need to be continuously looking at how they um how they tackle the cost of grief in the workplace, because it's going to cost something. You
Yep.
can't, it's that what is it, that line item that a lot of organizations don't consider. And so from their perspective, I do think that there needs to be a greater awareness, while honoring the bottom line. But brief got a line too. So um but for still showing up but tired, um just really allowing her to first acknowledge that it is, they should call it grief. Yeah, grief. And so knowing, yeah, grief can happen whenever there is a change in a familiar pattern of behavior. Someone doesn't have to die for you to grieve that relationship, things that you are accustomed to and rhythms you have at work. When those change, you will feel grief. And especially if the person has been a mainstay and a presence, everyone might be without those words. So yeah, thank you. Still showing up but tired, for writing in. You unpack some layers on layers. We might have to do answer part one, answer part two, or we can go like we go with Bible verses: A clause, B clause.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were good. I think we want to do some more of these. So
Yeah.
if you want to ask if you are wrong about a scenario, you can give the heart of it and nuance the edges, and sign it anonymously. We do want things to stay anonymous. We're not trying to drag any particular companies or organizations or anything like that, but we do want to have the conversation about real experiences that we are having. You can DM us on Instagram. Um, we're on LinkedIn. We're also on Facebook, or you can email us directly at info@soulrepair360.com. So This was fun. We'll do it
It was.
again. And
Till
y'all
next
listen
time.
in the comments, you tell us if they were wrong.
Yeah.
First story, second story. Tell us your 2 cents or experiences. We would love to hear
Yes.
it. All right.
All right. Yeah. Talk to you later. Bye.